Hey there, welcome back. I've decided to combine some artwork from two artists that really inspire me. One is Max Fitzgerald, who has created the miniature war game Turnip28. It's a delightfully dreary setting in which the world has been overrun by this mass of roots, and if you're not familiar with it, links below, you should definitely check it out. The second thing is from my friend Connor, also known as Bad Bucket over on Instagram. They recently did an illustration of a tree they saw in a dream, and as soon as I saw it, I said I had to make it. I had to. I didn't want to, I had to. It was like physically required because it was just too cool. The illustration just really fits the aesthetic of the world of Turnip28, and I've been just looking for pretty much any excuse to make some fodder for the game, even if I never end up having anyone to play it with, but I'm going on too long. If you've followed the channel for a while, you'll notice that I haven't actually built minis on camera before. In fact, I've only built a few over the past couple of years. Generally, minis can be quite expensive for what you get, but I was able to give this a go thanks to support from my patrons. Both the French Napoleonic infantry and foot knights were pretty good value for how many models you get, and the details on them are far superior to anything I could sculpt in the time that I have to get one of these videos done. After drawing some rough sketches of the units I wanted for this build, I decided to limit myself to 5 minis for my first foray into the roots. The unit's heavy, if you will, is the Tuber Golem, a reanimated suit of armor wielding a massive halberd. I used green stuff as an adhesive in some cases to change the silhouette of the characters. For the golem specifically, it makes his neck stick out at an unnatural angle. I also decided to help beef it up even more by putting one of the largest packs on its back, attaching a pipe from a plague marine that I've had sitting in my bits box for a year, and now it gives off the impression that it's steam powered as well. There are two standard sort of units, or infantrymen, one of which is posed to look like he's in the process of reloading. The majority of the unit is just a French infantry body with a knight's helmet head swap, so the only extra work is a bit of green stuff sculpting to make their helmets look more like plague doctors. To make them stand out even more, I'm snipping down some plastic cotton bud sticks for little candles on their pack. I have a sharpshooter, which is given a tall pointed helmet. This is largely inspired by a lot of Dark Souls and Elden Ring stuff I've been seeing. And finally, the captain has a fancy hat and a sword, so of course you know who's in charge. Once the fodder was assembled, I moved on to sculpting the spooky tree. With a ball of foil hot glued down to a wooden block as my handle, I wrapped it in a thin layer of Super Sculpey and started to add in random holes here and there before roughing it up with more foil and baking it off. Using cosclay, a variety of my favorite tools, and Connor's illustration as my guide, I set out making the gnarled and twisted structure of this cursed Rafiki tree. The only trick here is starting with a long rolled out piece of clay, sticking it down where you want it, and then making sure it's completely tacked down so no air gets trapped inside, causing a bubble or a break. I am constantly switching between tools and a brush to get the mangled texture that I'm after, working on each half of the tree before baking it off. For the creepy tree branches at the top, I twisted my thinnest wire in a drill to make it stronger and thicker, and then went about making and bending branches to the right shape, adding some clay, baking it off to preserve my work, and repeating the process over and over. If I'm being honest, I thought about completely changing the design after making just the first 3 branches, or going out and finding real branches that were the right size. In the end, the extra effort was worth it for the final result. These tiny branches are nice and strong and slightly flexible thanks to the cause clay. Once the tree was done, everyone went outside for some priming. I didn't really have a plan with the fodder. I knew that I wanted them to look quite grungy, so I started with some base colors, mixed up some slightly lighter versions for the dry brush, and eventually darkened it all back down again with washes. The one new thing I've done is use a graphite paint as the base for the metallics. It's a massive tub of high quality paint that I bought years ago for prop making, and it will likely dry out before I finish using it. In the future, I plan on making an extra unit member if I make some more turnips. This way I have one I can practice different techniques on before committing to the same thing for the rest of them. For the root tree, I started out by darkening all the openings so that way the tinfoil wouldn't be visible from the inside. I then mixed subsequently lighter and lighter brown paints from the base of the tree all the way up to the branches, adding to that zenithal highlight effect from the priming stage. And then it's just the usual dry brushing and washes, trying to bring out the texture that I put in with all my sculpting, but also making sure that the tree looks darker near the bottom and more sun-bleached at the top. To make my life a little bit easier, the fodder got thrown onto some square bases that I was gifted. Then I based them with some repurposed tea leaves that look like mulch on the forest floor. The tree was finally given a custom irregular shaped base with the same tea mixture. As I'll be using this for more than just Turnip28, I wanted it to resemble the other terrain pieces I've made in the past. This was a lot of fun as a project, and not just fun because I think Turnip28 is really cool, but because it was challenging. I mentioned that I haven't done a lot of true miniature painting, and so this really sort of took me out of my comfort zone, and I learned a lot by making mistakes, and I know what I'd like to do better in the future now, which is an important part of making things, screwing up. If you enjoyed the video and you think it deserves a like or a share, I really do appreciate it. Please give the channel a follow if you'd like to see more videos like this. And of course, if you'd like to keep the channel going or increase the frequency of these videos, you can support me on Patreon like the rest of these lovely folks here in the credits. Thanks for taking the time to get to the end of the video. It really does mean a lot. Until the next one, bye!